Yeah, something else I'll mention, and that's there is stuff you can buy from the lubricant manufacturer known as Inox, I-N-O-X. I don't know if they're American based, but I know we get it here. We get quite a lot of this stuff here. And what they basically have is this goop you put in, and if you can't get your battery charge at equalised charge, or your charge controller rather at equalised charge and stuff, or you got a battery that's a bit sort of old and rough on it, you can pour this stuff in through the caps. I mean, you literally just take the caps and pour this bottle of goop in that you buy, and it sort of basically blows all the sulphur off of the plates chemically as opposed to electrically. And that's a good way to revive old batteries. Another reason I like the wet top, because you can access it to top the water up, whereas the sealed you can't. You can also, like you're supposed to put a bit of distilled water in your sulfuric acid. You got to, watch your levels, and you may also watch the specific gravity. I've never really looked into this. Checking out the specific gravity on batteries. I just sort of have with mine they have a line on the side, and I just sort of top it up to that line. Although I ran mine for about 1 year and 3 months with my main house solar system, and they literally only took a few mil each, some of them. Like a few mils of literally just had a little water bottle, just a few little dribbles, and that was, just a few drips, and that was it. It was full with a lot of them. Oh yeah, big important thing. Make sure you get a place that has a high turnover of batteries. Look, as it says on, I've got a battery, it's an American one, and it's got printed on there, this battery must be recharged every month. Now, this is also why I like wet type, and why I go to the headquarters of a certain place to get my batteries. These wet type ones, because they've got caps on them, they often bring them over with no acid in them, and they fill them up at the shop. And this mob I'm with has a few smaller sort of franchise ones, the smaller shops in other towns. I go up the road to the headquarters because I know that's where they fill the acid up, and when I buy it from them, it's probably only had the acid filled literally a couple of weeks ago. And this is also why I don't like sealed. Yet another reason is because when they do sealed over in China or Thailand or somewhere like that, they put the acid in at the factory, and then it takes 6 weeks to get over by boat, so you're already shot in the foot, and then it sits on the warehouse shelf for another month or two, and then it gets to the shop shelf and sits on the shelf for another however long until you buy it or somebody else buys it. And with these, when I go to this headquarters where they fill them all up there at the headquarters and they're wet type, because I know they've come over dry, no acid in them, they're just the plates, they've just done the plates and assembled it all, and they come over dry, the acid's only gone in there literally probably 2 weeks beforehand, and they've put it on and they've sat on their own shelf for 2 weeks, as opposed to these sealed ones which are all done overseas where they're manufactured. And I'm also very wary of any other places that I may suspect bring their stuff in from a warehouse. Don't top up on site. They get somebody else to top it up, and it may sit at that other place for a while before it gets to them and then sit on their shelf. And especially when it sits on their own shelf for 6 months. I went and bought some fluorescent lanterns. I reckon they've been on the shelf for 6 to 9 months at this shop, and they were dead in the space of about a week or two. I mean, you will literally see these things work all right for the first 3 or 4 charges, and then they'll just be useless. And you may get the battery, oh, good, she's a good battery. I charged it with my first charge, got it home, charged it up, and then it went for like, you know, the lantern went for like, you know, 3 hours or something like that, that's a good one. And then you notice after about your 4th charge, I turn this thing on, the battery flat light's blinking in 10 minutes. You know, so whatever you do, get the ones with the big turnover. This was one of my biggest, I think it was the biggest problem full stop when I first lived off grid. What also was affecting me was the fact that this mongrel was taking other people's returns and wiping the dust and grease off the terminals and the battery and recharging them, not topping the water up, and put them straight back on the shelf again. And that, if you're in the Geelong region, I'm going to flame and kick this bloke's ass. If you're in the Geelong region and Geelong, Victoria, Australia, I highly, highly, highly not recommend going to someone who has batteries for everything. Hint, hint. Because he's the one who's doing it. Now, quite simply, he was a rogue of a person, but even if he had have thrown away all the returns, a lot of his stuff would sit on the shelf for 6 months because he's in a little place that's out of the way, only a small shop. You know, so go to the big joints. Don't go to camping stores. Don't go to blooming anything except dedicated car battery manufacturers who also have deep cycles coming in, who fill up there on site with acid. You may even want to ask them if they fill up on site, or better still, find out secretly if they do, because they may know that this is a problem, and just tell you they fill up on site when they don't. But yeah, that will be the biggest thing that bites you on the bum, is bad batteries, because you didn't get them from a place with a big turnover. And this is also why I like wet type, because they're guaranteed to not have been filled up in China 9 months ago. So yeah, that's that. I'll do another video showing the insides of a little sealed lead acid battery.